How's it going? Welcome to this video where I'm going to show you the project of my tune, What You Doing? And let's have a look, see what's going on, because I'm curious as well. I haven't looked at this project for a while, so let's just have a look, see. We'll start on pattern 1. As I explained in the last video, I like to make all of my main section kind of going into one pattern, happening in one pattern. This sounds like this. So there's my pattern 1, and that's where I will always start. I'll always start with pattern 1, you know, start with the pattern, it ends up being pattern 1, and that's always the drop section, like the beginning of the drop. Like that's what I'm trying to make usually first. So I'll come in with the heavy section, you know, the full-blown section. The section that's really the identity of the song, you know, so that's why I like to start there, because if you nail that section, you're off to a good start. You know, you won't have to figure that out later on. If you go about it in a different way, where you're kind of making an intro first, then you have to follow up your intro with a drop that makes sense. It's a lot of pressure, you know. So I like to do the tricky bit, or the hard bit first. The thing that makes or breaks the beat. So what do we got here? We got the vocal up there. I'll show that in a second. I always have my drums down the bottom, because that's usually what I build first, and then I just add stuff on top, like literally up my rack of samples and synths here. But there's a kick. There's a ghost kick, a washed out clap thing. There's a snare, another snare, a hat, and then some perks and some extra reverse snare-y crazy stuff. Excuse me. So I think with the snares here, I've got the clap that's washed out. That's providing the tail end, because I'm layering it with this other big snare and this tony snare. So I don't know. I like to layer sometimes, not always, but sometimes, and it's a nice technique for creating drums that sound more unique, specific to your track, and also fuller, more produced. Over here, I've got my bass patch, which, of course, 3 times losk. You know that's where I go. So that's a pretty crunchy, crazy one. This, I'm guessing, will be a variation. Yep, so just like in the last video, I showed a flow zone. I've got one variation of my bass patch, which I make by just cloning it and then altering it. And, oh, I forgot I used Patcher. Okay, so I'm really new to Patcher. I think I've used it in like 1 or 2 of my tracks. And it's such a simple thing that I've set up here, but, you know, my brain's not amazing with this type of technical stuff. So all I really wanted was I wanted more envelope power on my 3 times losk, you know, because usually when I make a patch, I'll mess around a bunch with these envelope shapes to create the shape of the note. But I was wanting a little more power or control over that, and so I used envelope controller, which I'm new to as well. One of the homies told me I should try it, so I tried it, and he told me I should hook it up to 3 times losk, and it achieved something interesting. I mean, yeah. This shape, I feel like I can't get in the normal 3 times losk. So that's why I was wanting to go in that direction, because 3 times losk, you only have the, you know, attack, hold, decay, sustain, release stuff. You can make cool shapes, but you can't make like complicated shapes. This isn't even that complicated, but I wanted something that came down in pitch and then gradually went up over the rest of the note. So I don't know. please let me know your thoughts on what I've done here. Like I said, I'm new to Patcher, but it was an interesting thing to play around with. I still probably could have achieved a very similar result with just the default 3x loss, but I decided to try Patcher this time. It sounds pretty cool though. It's pretty crazy. So again, with the actual oscillators themselves, I usually use them in some sort of way where there's some acting as the bass, like the sub bass, or the at least fundamental frequency, and then others are acting as an overtone harmonic-y thing to create the more charactery top end to the bass. So that's what happened here. And it looks like I've done 2 saw waves down here, pushed all the way to minus 24 semitones, and then I've done a Reese here. So this is offset 24 cents. This is offset 24 cents in opposite directions. That creates a Reese. Reese, you can look that up. And then I've used a sine wave up here, plus 16. So I think that's a fifth, is it? Okay, it's a major third, so that's what I did in the last video as well. My brain, like, I can't remember what it's set to. I use my ear, you know? So that's why I just had to quickly, like, check what it was. It's a major third. So that creates a nice kind of dichotomy between the major third way up high and then the low Reese down below. And then I've sent that off to get completely like destroyed by processing. How do I get rid of this? Because it's annoying. I mean, I'll just press the X. I'm not used to Patcher. Anyway, then I've split this. Okay, so I've done a strange technique here, but I like to do this. So when I am creating a bass and it's all in one patch, you know, I don't have multiple things like something handling the sub bass and then something else handling the top timbre side of the bass. I just make it all in one, and then I've started messing around where I send it into a channel and then send that channel into 2 other channels so it's split, and then create a sub bass in one and the timbre in the other. So that's what I've done here, which is pretty hilarious. So one of them is sent here where I've got a low pass filter and it's basically all the way down. So it's only letting real sub frequencies through. You can kind of hear that. And then the other one doing the opposite, you know, so I'm clipping it, destroying it, and then removing any of the low frequencies. So it sounds very empty, but that's because it's leaving all the room for the sub bass to just fill in that clean, more clean version of it on the low end. Wouldn't want it to be too muddy, so I don't know. Please, engineers and crazy producers who are very technical, please critique me, give me feedback, and tell me how I'm doing everything atrociously. If we go to the pattern, then over here we have chords. Herzy loves his chords. He's got to have them. Do not do third person. And just like the last video where I showed flow zone, this is just a major chord, just holding it down. Ooh, I like it. Over here I have vocals. So FL users may recognize Laurie Webb Common A. It's, you know, it's one of the samples that comes with FL, and you know me, I use my stock stuff. So I just go into the packs on the left hand side in the sample browser, go over to vocals, and then you've got Laurie Webb, and it's heaps of like really, really cheesy vocals, little stabs and things that no one would ever want to use because they're the default FL samples and everyone will be able to recognize them unless you completely mess them up. So I've reversed it. Wait, it's A, so let's listen to the raw one. The raw one sounds like this. Cringe. Then I've reversed it and I've changed the in and out so it's a swelling kind of sample, and I've chopped it by using the sample start and length knobs here. And then I've processed the absolute bejesus out of it. Picture. Love me some picture. I've been messing with Destructor presets a lot. Delay. We got EQ. Don't want any muddy low end in there. I've squashed it. And then we've got filters to automate, because that's always fun. There's also a gross beat thing here. I wanted to make this specific shape where it's kind of plucking, pulsing for a section later in the song. I'll show you that in a bit. But the vocals are pretty cool. The sample is just on repeat. And then I've got this other one sent in the exact same chain, but it's a slightly different tweaking of the same sample. But I've got it even pitched up too here. Wait, what's this one? Okay, this one's pitched up 1 semitone. This one's pitched up 2 semitones. So I'm able to use that to create a bit of a melody there. So it's na 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 na. That's what I wanted. So this one sounds like this. That semitone above, and then all together it's... So that's what makes up this first pattern. As I said in the last video, I like to work in a way where I base everything off one pattern. I make that first, and then I just use make unique, make unique, make unique, do heaps of variations, and that turns into my whole drop section. So you can see here it goes from pattern 1, pattern 11, pattern 7, pattern 15, pattern 5, just because of the making unique random kind of way that I get more going on, more stuff. It sounds like this. A alternate bass came in here. No, it didn't. A sample of an alternate bass came in here. So this is a sample that I created in a sound design session that I did with the homies. And I threw it in there. So when I'm doing like a sound design session, which is extremely rare, I'll do it on call with the homies because they can give me pointers and ideas, and I can just make up some cool bass patches that way, and then I'll just bounce that to a sample and be able to call on that later on. That's something that's very recent in my workflow. I never used to do anything like that, but it's cool. I'm enjoying just calling on that session and the sounds that came out of it. This was the synth. So I'm using the synth to like come in and mark certain points in the drop and give it that like kind of energy. I don't know, like there's the alternate bass sample that comes in here, but then at the same time there's this note. So check it out. You hear it right at the tail end because it's a slow onset. So you hear nah. And it just leads nicely, like kind of swells back into the first beat of the next bar.
Go.
Samples for other parts of the song. And I just want to point out, this entire song, This whole song only used 3 times OSC in terms of actual generators. You know, I do have the samples from the sound design thing. But in terms of what's being generated in project, just oscillator. And by the way, this sound design session, I'm pretty sure was going on with oscillator as well. I was using other plugins that I'm not very familiar with that the homies were helping me with, talking me through. Like the granular thing, what's it? Granulizer or something? What's it called? It's called... No, it's called... maybe it's a effect over here. It's called Fruity Granulizer. Yeah, so I know that everyone is at different levels in their journey and has spent time figuring out different things. I haven't spent any time figuring out any of these plugins that are in my door because I just do the same thing. It's always a different song, completely different song, but it's the same process, which is just going to oscillator, making sounds, making chords, bass, melody, and using a whole bunch of drum samples to make a groove. Boom. Maybe some vocal snippets. The second drop over here, second section of the drop, second part of the drop, goes a bit crazier. So this patch is the same one. So I've just changed the rhythm. Like the first part of the drop, it's ding, 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 and then over the second part of the drop, it's ding, 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 ding. It's just double the subdivision. What would it be? It was quarter notes and now it's eighth notes, or it was eighth notes and now it's 16th notes. But we all know the real way to describe it is it goes ding, 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 ding now instead of ding, 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 ding. Yeah, and then yep, and here is where you can hear what I was talking about with the vocal. Just using this pattern that I made in Gross Beat. I wanted it to be pulsing in the same way that the bass is. So I just did that by slapping Gross Beat on, creating this shape. Without Gross Beat, it sounds like this. The vocal thing that I had earlier, and now it's just chopped up, a bit more tremolo or some sort of a ducking away effect that mimics the bass, and it sounds pretty cool. Thank you guys. Let me know what you want me to explain in future videos, and I will do so. Thank you so much for watching. I'm out. Lots of love.